So the first question I had as I thought about this is, in thinking about effective video advertising, how do we gauge it beyond the clicks, and what are we learning from this data? So we all know rich media and measuring clicks. What are we doing beyond the clicks? Matt, why don't we start with you in terms of what you're doing beyond the clicks in this area?
Sure. So how many of you have not enough data around your campaigns today? Probably have too much, where what we really need is more insight and knowledge. And I would say today, particularly in digital video, we're data rich and knowledge poor. What we're seeing today, we work with a lot of the big brand advertisers and their agencies in what are increasingly complex campaigns that before was a either or conversation. Is it either pre-roll or is it overlay? Or is it either paid or is it viral? We're seeing increasingly that it's and, it's the ampersand as opposed to the or, where these brands are saying we need to use all of the tools at our disposal to drive all the various facets of awareness to engagement to action. We were involved in a campaign for a credit card company I can't say, but many of you probably have it in your back pocket, where they were really focused on not just getting video out, but then tracking number of video views and engagement of those videos to applications, right? And the numbers are stunning, that basically with every additional video that someone viewed, they were multiple times more likely to come across, to apply. So I think what we're seeing directly is this stuff really works, and it works fabulously, but it's really hard to get an integrated view. So to the extent that the industry can work together to provide clarity and transparency, I think we'll all win. Basically, we'll all gain benefit from it.
Kevin, Matt, that was great in terms of the data. Kevin, over at Hulu, as you guys are starting to do spots and thinking about the pod, how are you looking at the data for the different ad formats and providing it to your advertisers and constituencies?
We try to be a best-in-class measurement company as well as just delivering video out to users. So we look at a number of different folks. We use our ad server-based metrics that we feed back, and obviously everyone's using a DoubleClick or an Atlas or someone else, Eyeblaster, to track what their individual campaigns are doing after the fact. But for us, we always take a user-backed approach. We want to be able to deliver them a seamless, clean, clutter-free environment. That will obviously raise the effectiveness of the advertising itself. But for us, we're looking to use behavioral targeting. We're looking at demographic targeting. Our demographic targeting package consists of 4 different data sets. It's Nielsen, it's ComScore, QuantCast, and then our profiled user base, which is over 6.5 million folks who've told us quite a bit about themselves. So everything that we do looks to focus in on getting the best environment for the advertisement to be displayed, but also the most relevant advertisement displayed to that user at any given time.
Ron, in terms of measuring the data in your formats and what you're doing at Eyeblaster, how are you guys providing information on effective ad campaigns, and what does that look like from your all's point of view?
Okay, so in general, I agree with what Matt was saying, that there is we call it infobicity, an overload of information, and we measure more than 100 different measurements, but many times it is difficult to compare how one ad performed with, let's say, in-game, something in the ad, or another ad with some element of video in it, and then when you're trying to compare one to the other, it's becoming difficult. But the essence of all the experiences there is actually what we call positive engagement with the ad. And we measure it by time. This is what we call dwell time. Dwell time enables you to compare different experiences, enable you to compare between different publishers, different campaigns, etc. Actually, preparing for this panel, I was looking at the Q4 numbers for North America. And what we found is that ads that include a video element in them will tend to have a longer dwell. In certain verticals like gaming, entertainment, technology, we see the dwell time is even twice as longer. So inclusion of video element in any ad will result in better dwell time, meaning longer duration of engagement, positive engagement.
So you're talking about the challenge of the ads and whether video within the ad makes sense. But as I think about advertising, and I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong here, I think that advertising is geared toward audience, and that gearing advertising towards audience is what comes first. I mean, Adam, what are you guys doing is my hypothesis right? Or what are you guys doing towards that?
Yeah, I'm actually going to take a step back and actually answer this question as if I was still on the agency side, because I think that's more relevant to the room. I would challenge everyone. I agree with everything that's been said about, an overflow of data. We have to think about how users are engaging with content and advertising and collect that data. But I would challenge everyone in the room to start thinking about measurement and data on 3 different levels. And if you think of it in terms of the audience that you're delivering as kind of step 1, the engagement with that ad that you're generating or you're helping to generate along with the creative message and the offer, and then the 3rd tier being actual sales lift for that advertiser in store. That's how a marketer and an agency are going to think about campaigns. The first step is you got to make sure you're delivering the right audience. Forget about whether the ad or the offer is any good. If you don't start with delivering the right audience, everything else breaks down. So that's the first step. Second step is make sure you've got a good creative execution, good messaging that's dynamic, and an offer strategy that makes sense. And then the third piece is you may have highly engaging advertising. It doesn't net any sales lift. Well, you could have the highest engaging ad in the world, but if you're not delivering sales lift, you're not going to renew that deal. Okay, so I think you need to think of things on different levels, and it all starts with the audience. And that's what I think the critical missing ingredient today in the video space is. We just haven't progressed and matured as an industry to the point where we can compete with the way that television buys. The reality is that $66 billion of spend that was referenced before trades on demographics.